Hey, welcome back to Mike's Garage. Today I'm working on a 2003 Volkswagen Passat with no horn. Started working on this yesterday and got into a little bit and decided to make another video. I know there's a few of these on there already, but from what I've discovered so far, I think it's going to end up being in the clock spring or the horn switch itself in the steering wheel. And I'm going to go through some of my testing and how I came to that conclusion. Okay, start with take the fuse cover off. Okay, take the fuse card. You can see that number 40 is the fuse horn. Now I've gone and checked the fuse already, which are over here, and I believe this is fuse number 40 and it tests fine. The next thing I went after was the relay. In order to get at the relay in this particular year Passat, take off the two T25 Torx underneath the fuse panel cover. Okay, so a total of 4 T25s. Then pulls forward to release the clips that fit in this hole here. Drop this down. Now I like to take all these connectors off so that I can remove this panel completely. So the first one is looks like for the dash lights. The next one is the headlight control. And the third one is actually the OBD2 port. Now we can take that and set it out of the way. Now in behind that panel we just took off is where the relays live. For whatever reason, I'm not sure why they could hide them so well. So let's zoom in a bit. Wiring diagram off of, I actually got this off BBB Industries. That is the relay for the horn. It has a number 1 label on it. And my best conclusion was that relay number 1, well, they're actually labeled, but this bottom left went down here. Now, it's a quick test without getting into the horn and the wiring and everything else. Was to install. Quick test was install one of these. I'll put a picture in. It is a relay bypass switch for quick testing. It only contains pins 30 and 87, which is the load side. That is inserted. Let's see if I can get a good picture or a good shot of that. You can see the switch is now inserted in the place of the relay. If I turn that switch on, horn works just fine. So it tells me from the load side of the relay out, it is not a problem. The wiring, the horn itself, and whatnot. So I will pull my switch out. Okay, so I now have the key on. I had to wait a minute for the damn dinging to stop. No one wants to hear that. So in the 4 positions of the relay, got your 30 and 87, which are the load side, which we know is fine. This represents the horn switch itself. This piece here, F138, represents the clock spring. So The horn is depressed, and it grounds this side of the relay. Now one side of this is going to power, the other side will be grounded when you press the horn. I'm going to... Test light is connected to ground. So there we go, the right side. The relay, which represents, let's see, what is that? 85 is the power side. Now the left side will be the ground side switch when the horn's pressed. So I'll move test light to power source. As you can see, no light. Pressing the horn and still no light. So there's no, the relay is never receiving the ground signal to cause the relay to come on and sound the horn. So the issue is going to be most likely in the clock spring in this case. Okay, so after testing the relay, I decided to go back and recheck all the fuses just for confirmation before I took the steering wheel off and got into the clock spring. It turns out that all the buttons on the steering wheel, well, the ones that I could test, the cruise I can't, obviously in the garage, but the volume control also was not working. So that kind of started to take me closer to the clock spring itself being bad. And I remember reading something on one of the forums that there's a fuse in here somewhere for the steering wheel controls. Okay, so take the fuse card out. Unfortunately, these are not necessarily labeled as obvious. Perhaps some of the domestics. One side, the other. I checked every symbol I could understand. You know, some of these are pretty obvious. Some of them aren't. Like, for example, 35. Wasn't really sure what that one was. Anyways, I decided to pull out every fuse and check them. Like I said before I got into doing the clock spring, the larger fuses in here, they have the, you know, the small opening here that you can put a test light through and check both sides of the fuse really quick. The mini ones here do not. Turns out this particular fuse here was blown. It's only a 5 amp fuse, according to this layout. That is third row, 4 in. So third row, 4 in, represents fuse 10. Come back to the card. Fuse 10, the best I can tell, says CD, which of course has a picture of a CD, and a telephone. While this card does have a CD player, there's no built-in phone of any kind. Anyways, that fuse is blown. Replaced it, and as soon as I replaced it, okay, so with the key off, for some reason in most Volkswagens, with the key off, the radio will come on. Steering wheel buttons don't work. Now with the key on, the volume up and down on the steering wheel started working, and the horn works now. So fuse 10, whatever reason, fuse 10 even though it's labeled CD and phone. It must power up either maybe your module or whatever that controls everything in the steering wheel. So maybe this will help someone who has a similar issue with the horn not working. The horn fuse checks out, the horn relay checks out, the horn checks out, and before you tear into the clock spring, try this fuse, and maybe it'll help you like it helped me, as opposed to, you know, removing the airbag, taking the steering wheel off, changing the clock spring, only to find out it wouldn't have helped. And I only found it by I decided to physically check all fuses. I'm sure in the service manual somewhere it'll state that this fuse does the steering wheel, but it certainly wasn't obvious from the fuse labels. Anyways, thanks for watching.